guys, it's Horsey Steph. I apologize so much in advance for the terrible lighting and I'm sure terrible acoustics as well. But today for my Sunday vlog day, I am going to be sharing with you what I feed my horses. So this is my barn feed room. I'm just gonna kind of go over with you what I feed my two horses. So if you guys don't already know, I own two thoroughbreds, London and Lucy. They are both very hard keepers. So Lucy is a hard keeper just in every way possible. I free feed her grass hay and then she gets 2 flakes of alfalfa as well. I don't free feed alfalfa. It's not a great thing for them to just only eat alfalfa. And given the choice, Lucy probably would only eat alfalfa. So she loves her alfalfa, she gets it at night and she devours it. But I do always have grass hay available for her. I would guess she eats like 2, maybe 3 flakes of grass a day. She's not a great eater, so that is part of the weight issues with her. And then I also feed her grain twice a day. London is a hard keeper because I can't feed him anything. If I had him on like 2 flakes of alfalfa and 3 flakes of grass like Lucy's on, I'm sure he'd be super easy to keep weight on, calorie-wise. But unfortunately, the thing about London is he can't have sugar. So I did soak grass hay for him for a while. I bought low sugar grass hay and soaked that. I had problems with laminitis and inflammation and just, I mean, everything, literally everything. You feed that horse sugar and he freaking like crashes in every possible way. It's really, truly incredible how much it affects him. So he eats free choice wheat straw when he's inside. Obviously, there are like 0 calories in that. Well, I shouldn't say 0 actually. He probably goes through like 3, sometimes 4 flakes of straw in a day. And honestly, it does make up a lot of his caloric intake. But it is a very low calorie feed, like not what you want to be feeding your hard keepers. So that makes it a little tough with him. So I do feed him grain three times a day. He gets breakfast, lunch, and dinner to try to supplement his calories. And also because you can feed horses wheat straw, it is quite popular in Sweden. They've done quite a bit of studies on it. They do recommend you don't feed more than 50% of their diet as straw. So for all you guys out there that have hard keepers, that could be like a great solution for you guys because it is really low calorie compared to other hays. And they said you can really safely feed 50% of the horse's diet straw. So I do give him quite a bit of grain, both to balance out the straw and also to give him more calories. So let's go ahead and jump into what these guys actually eat. So I feed all of my grain out of this scoop. This is a 2-cup measuring scoop. It holds roughly 2.5 cups. I do feed by volume. It's just way too hard to feed by weight in a barn like this. We have too many horses. That being said, I do know how much all of my grains weigh, and I do feed based on weight in this volume. So I like the 2-cup measuring cup because, I mean, it is kind of faded now, but you have the cups, you have half cups. You can just be a little more accurate with how much you're feeding than like a can, where it's really hard to estimate like what is 1 cup or what is half a can. So this does have markings on it. I need to replace this one eventually, and the handle is broken off because it gets dropped. But I like this as a measuring tool. So this is what I use, and this is what I always measure their grain in. So let's go ahead and jump into what London's base grain is. So I went and grabbed a little bit of London's grain. So you can't see this very well. Here, I'll tilt it for you and drop this on the ground. This is Speedy Beet. So it is a special kind of beet pulp. It is 95% sugar and starch free. So that means it's really high in fiber and really low in sugar. This is like liquid freaking gold. I think that we are paying $75 for a 44-pound bag at this point. It is imported from England, which is where they make Speedy Beet. I can't find anything more local or cheaper that is as low sugar as this. So this is what he gets. It's great. Each scoop holds 1¼ pounds, and he gets one of these in the morning. Actually, he's been getting 2, but we're gonna drop it down to 1 because he doesn't love eating his breakfast. He wants to get outside. So he gets 1 scoop, so 1¼ pounds for breakfast, and he gets 3 scoops for lunch and dinner, which would be 3¾ pounds of Speedy Bee. So that is his whole diet. That would be 8 pounds of grain a day. I don't feed him a lot of grain itself because there are 0 calories in this. This has even fewer calories per pound than his straw has. So this is purely balanced the straw and as a carrier for his supplements and his oil. And oh my, does that horse eat oil. Let me go ahead and show you what Lou gets. All right, so this is what Lou gets. You can see it's a powder. This is Cool Stance Cobra, my #1 favorite feed for hard keepers. It is basically ground up coconut hull. It is really high in fat and really healthy, good stuff for them. I don't love feeding commercial grains, as you probably noticed by the fact that I just mentioned 2 like non-grain grains. I just don't think they're very good for them. I love this stuff. This will put weight on anything. I have had like normal hard keepers come in, you like give them a pound of this and they get so much fatter. It's literally amazing. Not the cheapest stuff, but for the calories it puts on and like good healthy calories, it's so worth it. And we all know the benefits of coconut for people. I mean, this stuff is great. So anyway, Lou gets like somewhere between ½ a scoop and a scoop for breakfast. I should really know this. I don't feed breakfast very often. My fiance Mark almost always feeds breakfast, but I think we're giving her a full scoop at this point. I know for a while we'd given her less because we were having trouble getting her to eat it, but now she's been eating her breakfast a lot better because we add honey to it, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I think we're up to a whole scoop for breakfast, and this one, 1/3 of a measuring cup is 1 pound. So 1 scoop would be 3 pounds of Cobra. And then for dinner, she gets 5 scoops of this, so 15 pounds. And I know you guys are probably like, oh my God, your horse is gonna like colic and die because you're giving her such a big meal. The cool thing about Lucy, when you give her a grain, she doesn't just inhale it. She's real excited about it and she'll eat like a bit of it, but then she'll take a break. She does cribs, so she'll crib and then she'll eat her hay and then she'll come back for her grain. And if you're here like in the middle of the night, you come by at like 2 in the morning, you'll see she does still have some grain left that she hasn't finished. Typically by the time we feed in the morning, which is around 6 a.m., she will typically be done with her dinner. But she really does spread it out. So I don't worry so much about feeding her such a large meal because she's eating it over, 12 hours time. Now, if she were to sit down and just consume all of this right away, I would be worried and I would be breaking it up. I would be giving her lunch, probably keeping her inside, making sure she actually finished her breakfast before she went out. But anyway, I don't have that issue with her, so I do feed her a really big meal. It's just more convenient for me, and it works out great for her. And those are the only 2 grains I feed my horses. Lenny gets a Speedy Bee, she gets her Cool Stance Cobra. Now, because neither of those are fortified grains, I do have to provide vitamins and minerals in a different way. So I feed both of mine. Oh, this is freaking heavy. You can't really see it, but I feed them Preox. So Preox is basically a vitamin mineral supplement with a lot of added antioxidants. I buy it from Horse Tech, a fantastic company. In this big old container, I don't know how big this is. It's like 20 pounds or something. They just get a scoop of this powder in their grain morning and night every single day. So that's how I solve the vitamin mineral issue. I love doing this over feeding like a commercial feed because then I can really control how much I feed of their like grain and their supplements separately. I don't have to worry about like the bag says my horse needs 3 pounds, yet he's a blimp. Or the bag says my horse should only be getting 3 pounds, but he's so skinny I need to feed him like 12 pounds, and now he has like an overdose of everything. This is great because they're totally separate. I can change their grain, I can increase it, decrease it. I know they're still getting the same vitamins and minerals, and that is completely unaffected by what quantity of feed I feed them. The next thing I feed my horses is oil. So these are bottles of oil. They're like 2 1/4 cups. My lovely mother makes these up for me every week. And it's just so much easier than measuring out oil, which makes a huge mess, brings in ants, and just a disaster in the feed room. Over behind me, if you look, you see those pink boxes? Right here, this is where all my oil is stored. You can see there are bottles in there. And this is what they look like. They're great. You can just twist off the cap and dump it in, pre-portioned and lovely. This is London's bottle. They do actually have different bottles of oil, so I have 2 different boxes up there, one for London, one for Lucy. London gets 2 1/4 cups of flaxseed 3 times a day. So, where is London's calories coming from? Freaking oil. It is the only high calorie thing that I can feed him because of his sugar sensitivity and all of his other sensitivities. He only gets flaxseed because he prefers it, he likes it better, he eats it better, and at this point I have to put weight on my horse, so whatever he likes. Liquid gold, that's what his grain is. Lucy, I mix. She only gets 1 bottle at night, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. The coconut oil is really good for them. Has all kinds of health benefits, so that's why it's in there. My plan is to add it to London's bottles pretty soon, but we've had some issues with him eating, so I just don't want to mess with it right now. Eventually I'll add back in the coconut. But she gets the coconut, and then she also gets canola oil. Canola oil is a pretty healthy oil for horses. Its omega-3 and 6 ratio is not too bad, so that's why I have chosen it. It is way cheaper than flaxseed. So I mix hers, I think it's 1 cup of flax to a cup of canola. It could be slightly more canola to make that a whole 2 1/4. It's a much cheaper way of feeding the oil. The canola still has the same calories as the flax, and they still get health benefits of the flaxseed with its high omega-3s. So eventually my plan is to switch London back onto the same oil mix as she is on, but for right now, he gets his flaxseed oil and she gets her mix. The next supplement these guys get is Manuka honey. I started Lucy on this I think like end of summer, early fall. I give her about a tablespoon a day, and I did actually put London on the Manuka honey, which I know you're like, oh my god, he can't have sugar, you're giving him honey. I did it in kind of like a panic, like I just needed to do something. He was getting ulcery and gassy, and like his gut was really suffering. I feed Manuka honey because it is scientifically proven to heal ulcers in people. They did 1 study on horses and it performed as well as omeprazole. In people, it outperforms ulcer medication. I think in horses, they haven't done enough studies to really show it's better than ulcer medication, but I can tell you, this stuff freaking works. You have ulcers in your horse, go buy it. Because we all know UlcerGuard, extremely expensive, and you know what? It did nothing for Lucy. Lucy had ulcers for years. I gave her UlcerGuard every day, followed the directions for 2 months, and showed no improvement in her ulcers, none at all. I stopped giving it to her because I literally couldn't afford to keep giving it to her. It was so expensive. I mean, it's like $900 a month. It's ridiculous. This is $40 at Costco. Something like that. It lasts quite a while. I give it to 3 horses in the barn right now. London, Lucy, and also my mother's horse, Snuffy. And world of difference. I mean, you can tell when she has not gotten her honey. It makes a massive difference to her. And it really has helped London. It hasn't been a miracle worker for him like it was for her, but I don't think he actually has ulcers, so I suspect that's why I saw less of a change. He is very sensitive, he's not stoic at all, and definitely he was having gut issues, which just did help alleviate. And so far, the sugar hasn't been a huge problem for him. I think because it's only 1 tablespoon and the rest of his diet is so controlled. Alright, so I also feed London chromium in the morning. So he only gets this once a day. Chromium helps with blood sugar and managing blood sugar. I do think feeding the chromium with the honey does help alleviate the sugar issue in the honey. He's been on chromium for a long time. I don't dare take him off of it. It made a difference when I put him on it. Didn't fix his laminitis issues, but made such a markedly big difference. I buy this chromium because it's pretty cheap, they like it, and it's available on Amazon, so I can auto ship it and get it here, and it's just easy. And last loose supplement I give my horses, this is colostrum, bovine colostrum. So they've done a lot of studies in people showing that colostrum is really good for supporting immune function, healthy gut, and I think it's also supposed to help with like allergies and autoimmune kind of conditions. They have done studies with it in horses, but really nothing like interesting. I started London on this. These are colostrum pills from Amazon for people. Dosage is only 500 milligrams, so I do give him 3 of these a day. Most commercial horse supplements with colostrum in them are feeding about 1,500 milligrams a day. So 3 pills equals like a normal horse dose from what I could find. Again, like, is that backed by research? No, so I don't know why they've picked that number. I'm just copying because surely the companies know better. And you know, it's made a huge difference. His weight looks better, his attitude looks better, his kind of lingering gut issues. You know, the honey made a big difference in the gut issues, but those kind of lingering issues that weren't quite gone, I feel like really went away with this colostrum. I have chosen to feed these pills because they are way cheaper than the horse supplements. The horse supplements I was looking at anywhere between $60 to $150 a month. For the same amount of colostrum, this is like $11 a month. So much better deal. Hence I went this way. Kind of a pain to like take the pills apart and whatnot, but it works and worth it because I cannot afford to spend more money on this freaking horse. So anything I can do to be cost effective, yet still provide him everything he needs, I'm gonna do. Now, after that huge list of supplements and craziness I add into their grain, I do try to make this easy for myself and everyone else that feeds. So we are a Smart Pack barn. We encourage everyone to have Smart Packs. It just makes it a lot easier to make sure every horse gets their correct supplements and whatnot. I do wish I could feed everything in Smart Packs. Unfortunately, they just don't have a good vitamin mineral balancer, so I couldn't put that in the Smart Pack. And then they don't sell like a straight chromium in Smart Packs, which also sucks because that would be an easy one to add in there. But both of my horses do get lots of stuff in their Smart Packs. So we'll start with Lucy. Lucy just gets 3 wells of Smart Packs at night, nothing else. Doesn't get anything in the morning because she doesn't eat a lot of breakfast. Easier to give her it all at night where I know she's gonna finish it. So I give her Elevate Vitamin E Maintenance Powder. So this is a vitamin E supplement, super important. She has PSSM, so the vitamin E is very important to her. And then I also give her aloe vera pellets. These should help with ulcer issues. I think that it's made a difference since I started my horses on aloe vera. And then I feed her Smart and Simple DMG. DMG is known to help people and horses with like that cramping you get after strenuous workouts. So a lot of like fitness people might take DMG after an intense workout. It makes a huge difference for my horses that have the PSSM. I don't think this is necessary for every horse, but because they have the muscle issue, I give them the DMG. I can tell when they don't have it, so I continue to feed it. London basically gets the exact same thing in a Smart Pack with the addition of Smart and Simple spirulina pellets. Spirulina helps with allergies and definitely has made a difference for London. He has really bad allergies. Not as bad here as when he was at my house. He had hives like constantly. I couldn't get rid of him. I don't have him on any vet prescribed allergy medicines because I just didn't feel like they worked well for him. They made him so drowsy and miserable. I just didn't, he looked so depressed on them. So I took him off of that, but the spirulina does help. It's no miracle worker by any means, but it makes a difference. And this is his morning supplements. His evening, he gets the exact same thing minus the aloe vera. So I only do aloe vera once a day in the morning. Everything else he gets twice a day. Just feeding it more often keeps it in his system better. So I do like feeding supplements twice a day for that reason. And behind me are where all of our smart packs are stored. So you can see in these drawers here, this is where all our smart packs are stored, labeled AM, PM, and with the horse's name, which is just lovely and so easy to do. Alright, and I almost forgot the one other supplement my horses get. This is soy protein powder. So I buy this in bulk from Bulk Supplements and dump the bags out and put them in this bin. It's labeled soy protein. And just makes it like super easy to feed. This is a 1/2 cup scoop in here. I feed my horses protein because of their PSSM. They both have issues with muscle wasting, and when you don't feed them enough protein, they never build muscle. They get into a negative nitrogen balance, their muscle just disappears, they look like skeletons. It's really awful. Both of my horses have had really big issues with the PSSM, and I've kind of calibrated how much protein they need to maintain healthy muscle and build muscle. If I feed them too little, their muscle just they don't really put on muscle with work, or their muscle starts to waste. London gets 1 scoop in the morning, 2 scoops for lunch, and 3 scoops of dinner. For dinner of soy protein, for a total of 6 scoops total. And that's really just because he gets a smaller breakfast, so I give him less soy protein in for breakfast, and he gets kind of his most food for dinner, so I give him a little extra for dinner. That's how I've split up the soy protein. He loves the flavor of soy. I do know that there are kind of competing theories on whether soy is good for horses or not. I would love to take my horses off of soy. However, London loves soy. Soy is one of the reasons he eats his grain. He won't eat other kinds of protein. Not one of them, because he freaking loves this stuff. So realistically, I will probably never take him off of it. I don't really see a difference with him when he's not on the soy, except that his muscle wastes and goes away, and he doesn't like to eat other stuff. Lucy, I might in the future switch off soy just because I think it's probably healthier, and she's not as picky. She will eat other proteins. Lucy does not get any soy in the morning. She gets 4 scoops at night. That seems to be perfect for her. So that's kind of my basic recipe for my horse's grain, and then they both get it soaked, so it's like a mash. Lucy, because hers is powder, I mean, that Cool Stance Copra absorbs so much water and becomes like this thick paste. It's disgusting. So I just like pour so much water in it. You think it's complete soup, and then like 5 minutes later, it's a nice like thickish mash. She'll eat it, however, but I do worry about choke, and she is kind of prone to choke. So nice wet soupy food is much better. London, the Speedy Beat absorbs a lot of water. I kind of get it nice and full. I pre-soak it, then I add all his supplements and his oil. Because the oil actually, if you add oil to the Speedy Beat and then try to soak it, it doesn't really absorb the oil. I try to get a lot of water in his because he is a good eater. But if the oil doesn't have enough space to like disperse and he like sees globs of oil in his food, he doesn't really like that flavor. And who can blame him? That's like disgusting. So I do soak his, try to get it like really nice and fluffed up and absorb as much water as possible. And then I add his oil and all his other supplements and mix it all in and feed it to him. And that's really, like I said, just to get as much oil in him as possible so that I can keep weight on him. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Found it informative and interesting, and just this is what I happen to feed my horses. Certainly not trying to recommend you guys feed your horses like I do. Mine are obviously unique. They have their own issues. I do know a lot about nutrition. I've done a ton of research to develop this diet for them, but I don't know everything. So talk to an equine nutritionist and address your horse's own individual issues. Certainly most horses, if you fed them like Lucy, would be balloons. I mean, she's the hardest keeper I have ever met in my life. And London has all of his special needs. And I don't think his diet is particularly healthy or balanced because it's basically straw, beet pulp, and oil. Don't recommend that, but it is working for him and it's the best I can come up with. So yeah, I mean, that's what I feed my horses, why I feed them that, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other ideas for future vlogs for me to do, please let me know. If you liked this video or have any questions, comment down below. If not, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.